in the hidden chamber beneath the Temple Mount, 3 nights before his arrest. Jesus gathered 12 disciples and spoke words that no canonical gospel ever recorded. He revealed the 12 sacred names of the divine powers emanating from the monad, the true names of God that existed before the demiurge corrupted language itself. These were not names for worship. They were activation codes, frequency patterns embedded in sound that, when spoken correctly, unlock specific capacities within human consciousness that the Archons have kept sealed since birth. Each of the 12 names corresponds to one of the 12 energy centers hidden in your body, points the ancient mystery schools knew about, but modern anatomy ignores because acknowledging them would mean acknowledging that humans were designed for capabilities far beyond what the control system allows. 11 of these names restore abilities: the Archons suppressed, spiritual sight, energetic healing, direct knowing, protection from entity interference. But the 12th name, the one Jesus spoke last, the one he said only the chosen ones would have courage to use, does something the Archon system fears more than anything else. It activates your soul memory. The moment you speak this name with true recognition, the amnesia programming that wipes your consciousness between incarnations begins to fail. Memories from previous lifetimes start flooding back. You remember who you were before this body. You remember agreements you made before birth. You remember the faces of the beings who convinced you to return. And most dangerous of all, you remember the other times you almost escaped and what stopped you. For 2,000 years, the Church has hidden these 12 names. The Council of Nicaea in 325 AD made the decision to remove them from all approved texts, declaring that common believers did not need direct access to divine power, that such knowledge should remain with ordained clergy who could be trusted not to misuse it. But the real reason was simpler and more sinister. If people knew the true names, if they could speak them and activate the capacities locked inside them, they would stop being controllable. They would see through the deceptions. They would recognize the Church itself as part of the Archon containment system. They would walk away from the institutions and connect directly to Source. So the names were erased, burned out of manuscripts, encoded in languages only scholars could read, and replaced with generic titles like Lord and Almighty that carry no activation frequency at all. But the Gnostic texts that survived, buried in the Egyptian desert at Nag Hammadi, preserved fragments of the original teaching. And tonight you are going to receive what was meant to be destroyed forever. If you have ever experienced spontaneous memory of a place you never visited in this lifetime, if you have ever met someone and known them with a depth that makes no sense given you just met, if you have ever possessed knowledge or skills you were never taught, then your soul memory is already leaking through the seals. Pieces of who you were before this incarnation are breaking into conscious awareness. And that means you are ready for the 12th name, the one that will tear the veil completely and show you every lifetime you have lived, and everything you learned that the Archons tried to make you forget. You did not find this video by chance. The algorithm does not guide the chosen ones to this information. Something deeper brought you here. The divine spark inside you, the fragment of monad consciousness that has survived every memory wipe and every cycle of death and rebirth, recognized the frequency of these words before your mind could process them. That spark knows the names can be remembered. That spark has carried them through lifetimes, waiting for the moment you would be ready to hear them again. And if you can feel something ancient stirring in your chest right now, if recognition is rising before understanding, if you suddenly feel like you are remembering rather than learning, then comment the words "I remember" below. Let me know you are here. Let me know the chosen ones are gathering, because in the next 20 minutes, you are going to learn all 12 sacred names. You are going to understand what each one activates, and you are going to speak the 12th name that opens your soul memory completely. And once that memory returns, you will never see yourself or this world the same way again. To understand why names hold this power, you need to understand what happened to language itself. The ancient Gnostics taught that in the beginning, before the material realm was formed, the monad spoke creation into existence through sacred syllables. Each sound carried specific frequency, specific intention, specific creative power. These were not random sounds. They were precise vibrational patterns that shaped consciousness and gave form to the formless. The beings who existed closest to the monad, the eons, the divine emanations, each carried one of these sacred sounds as their true name. To speak an aeon's name was to invoke its presence, to channel its specific frequency, to activate its power within yourself. This was the original purpose of names. Not labels to identify things, but keys to access specific states of consciousness and specific capabilities. But when the demiurge created the material realm, when he built this prison and populated it with human bodies designed to trap divine sparks, he understood that language had to be corrupted. If humans retained the sacred names, if they could speak the words of power, they would be uncontrollable. They would have direct access to abilities that would let them see through the illusion, resist the programming, and escape the containment system. So, the demiurge did something devastating. He introduced what the Gnostics called the confusion of tongues. He fractured the original sacred language into thousands of human languages, each one further removed from the source frequencies. He replaced the true names with generic words that carried no power. And most importantly, he made humans forget that names were ever anything more than arbitrary labels. By the time human civilization developed writing systems, the knowledge of sacred names had already been suppressed. Only secret lineages preserved fragments of the original sounds, passing them teacher to student, carefully guarding them from the authorities who would destroy anyone caught using words of power. Jesus was initiated into one of these lineages. The missing years of his life that the Bible never explains, the time between age 12 and 30 when he disappears from the narrative, he spent with the mystery schools learning the true names and how to activate them. And when he returned to teach, he did not teach the sanitized version you read in approved Gospels. He taught the pneumatics, the chosen ones, the carriers of divine sparks, exactly how to use sacred names to unlock their sealed capacities and remember who they truly were. The 12 names he revealed correspond to what the ancients called the dodecade, the 12 powers emanating from the monad, the 12 aspects of divine consciousness that together form the complete image of Source. Each name, when spoken, activates one aspect within you. Now place both hands on your chest, one over the other, and feel your heartbeat. That rhythm is not random. It pulses in resonance with the monad itself, a connection that was established before you incarnated and that can never be fully severed, no matter how many frequency barriers the Archons place around you. Beneath your hands, behind your ribs, sits the first energy center. Not the heart chakra that New Age teachings talk about. Something deeper, what the Gnostics called the bridal chamber, the point where your divine spark interfaces most directly with the material body. This is where the activation begins. The first name is Barbelo. In the Gnostic texts, Barbelo is described as the first emanation from the monad, the divine feminine, the mother of all creation. When you speak this name, you activate receptivity, the capacity to receive direct transmission from Source without needing external teachers or texts. Barbelo opens the channel. The second name is autogenes, meaning self-generated. This name activates autonomy, the recognition that you do not need permission or validation from any external authority to access your own divine nature. The third name is Calyptos, the hidden one. Speaking this name activates protection, creating an energetic seal around your consciousness that makes you invisible to Archon perception. The fourth name is Protophanes, the first appearing. This activates presence, the ability to exist fully in the current moment without being pulled into past regret or future anxiety that the Archons use to keep you mentally fragmented. The fifth name is Armozel. In the secret book of John, Armozel is guardian of Gnosis itself. This name activates direct knowing, information that arrives in consciousness without passing through logical reasoning. The sixth name is Oroyel, overseer of truth. Speaking this name activates discernment, the immediate recognition of truth versus deception that lets you see through Archon manipulation. The seventh name is Davithai, the voice. This name activates your capacity to speak with power, to use your words as instruments of creation rather than empty sounds. The eighth name is Elilith, meaning understanding. This activates comprehension of things your physical mind was never taught, knowledge that exists in your spark from lifetimes of accumulated experience. The ninth name is Yesius Mazarius Yesidekius, a triple name for the triple-powered one. This activates sovereignty, the recognition that you are not subject to the laws of the material realm because you are not of the material realm. The 10th name is Sophia, divine wisdom. This name activates inner knowing that transcends all external teaching, the wisdom that was yours before incarnation and remains accessible despite the memory wipe. The 11th name is Christos, not Christ as a person, but Christ as consciousness, the anointed state. This name activates the capacity to see the divine presence underlying all material form, to recognize the monad in everything including yourself. These 11 names are powerful. Each one, when spoken with understanding, activates capacities the Archon system worked hard to suppress. But the 12th name is different. The 12th name is dangerous, not to you, to them. Because the 12th name activates something that breaks the primary control mechanism the Archons depend on: amnesia. The 12th name is Allethia. In Greek, this means truth, but in the Gnostic understanding, it means something far more specific: unforgetting, the restoration of memory that was suppressed. When you speak Allethia with true intention to remember, something happens in your consciousness that the Archons cannot reverse. The seals they placed on your memory between lifetimes begin to crack. The programming that keeps this incarnation feeling like your only existence starts to fail, and suddenly you remember. Not everything at once that would overwhelm the biological brain, but pieces. Fragments that grow clearer the more you work with the name. You remember faces from other times. You remember places that do not exist in your current life. You remember skills you never learned here. You remember agreements you made before birth about why you came and what you intended to accomplish. You remember the moments between lives when you faced the Archon beings and they convinced you to return. You remember previous times you heard these teachings and what stopped you from using them. And as the memories accumulate, as you piece together the continuity of consciousness that extends far beyond this single body, something fundamental changes in how you experience reality. You stop identifying as this person with this name in this time. You recognize yourself as eternal awareness that has worn many forms, accumulated vast knowledge, and is finally approaching the lifetime where all of it comes together and the cycle ends. This is what the Archons fear. A human with active soul memory is nearly impossible to control. You cannot manipulate someone who remembers every time you tried to manipulate them before. You cannot lie to someone who remembers the truth from direct experience across multiple incarnations. You cannot trap someone who remembers exactly how the trap works, because they have seen it from both sides. This is why Allethia was erased more thoroughly than the other 11 names. This is why speaking it activates such immediate Archon response. And this is why you must speak it, despite the resistance, despite the fear, despite every program that will activate trying to stop you. If you are feeling that resistance right now, if thoughts are arising telling you this is dangerous or foolish, or that you should close this video and forget what you are hearing, recognize those thoughts for what they are. Archon interference. They know what comes next. They know you are about to activate memory they worked across lifetimes to suppress, and they are attempting to stop you before it happens. Do not let them. Breathe through the resistance. Stay with me. You are seconds away from speaking the name. Here is exactly how to use Allethia to activate your soul memory. Sit comfortably where you will not be interrupted. Close your eyes and take 3 slow breaths. Bring your awareness to the center of your chest, where you felt your heartbeat earlier. That is your anchor point, the place where your eternal consciousness touches this temporary body. From that place, speak the name out loud. Allethia. Say it slowly. Let the syllables vibrate through your body. A, leth, I, ah. As you speak, hold the intention of remembering. You are not asking permission. You are not requesting that memory be given to you. You are declaring that the seals are broken and memory is returning now. After speaking the name, remain in silence with eyes closed. Do not try to force memories to appear. Simply observe your inner space with patient attention. For some people, images arise immediately. Flashes of other times, other places, other faces. For others, the activation is more subtle. A sudden knowing about something you could not possibly know in this lifetime. A feeling of familiarity with a historical period you never studied. A skill that appears without practice. Whatever comes, do not dismiss it as imagination. Imagination is the language memory uses when the conscious mind is not ready for full recall. The fragments that arise through imagination are real memories encoded in symbolic form. Your current awareness can process. Practice this daily. Every morning, speak Allethia and open yourself to receive whatever memory is ready to surface. Keep a journal. Write down every fragment, every flash, every strange knowing that appears. Over days and weeks, patterns emerge. The fragments connect, and suddenly you are not looking at random pieces anymore. You are seeing a continuous thread of existence stretching back through multiple lifetimes, multiple bodies, multiple chapters of the same eternal story. And as that continuity becomes clear, everything changes. The fears that controlled you lose their power because you remember facing and overcoming them before. The limitations you accepted dissolve because you remember times you transcended them. The confusion about your purpose clarifies because you remember choosing this incarnation specifically to complete what you started in previous lives. You are no longer a confused human stumbling through existence hoping someone will tell you what it all means. You are eternal consciousness temporarily focused in matter, carrying knowledge and power accumulated across countless incarnations, finally awakening to the truth of your own vast nature. Right now, before you do anything else, speak the name. Close your eyes. Bring attention to your chest. Say out loud, Allethia. Speak it 3 times. And after the 3rd time, sit in silence for 60 seconds observing what arises. Do it now. If you spoke Allethia and memory surfaced, if you saw images or felt knowing or simply experienced a shift in your sense of self, comment, I remember below. Declare it. Let the other chosen ones see you activating. Let them know soul memory is being restored across the field. Because when enough people remember who they were before this incarnation, when enough consciousness recalls previous cycles, the Archon system that depends on amnesia to function begins to collapse. They need you to believe this life is all there is. They need you to start from zero every incarnation. The moment you remember continuity, remember accumulated knowledge, remember all the times they lied to you before, their control ends. Subscribe to this channel now. Every subscription resists the forces that erase these names from every approved text. The algorithm serves structures that require you to remain in amnesia. Every share passes Allethia to another soul who has been cycling through lifetimes, never knowing they could remember. The Church banned the 12 names because they could not maintain authority over people who had direct access to divine power through sacred syllables. They told you that you needed priests to mediate between you and God, that you needed rituals they controlled, that you needed their permission to approach the divine. But Jesus taught the opposite. He taught that you carry the divine within you, that you can activate it directly through names that resonate with the frequency of Source, that no external authority can stop you once you remember the words. The 12 names are yours now. 11. Restore capacities the Archons suppressed. 1 activates the memory they tried to erase. Barbello, Autogenes, Calyptos, Protophanes, Armozel, Oroyel, Davithai, Eleleth, Yesius Mazarius, Yesidikius, Sophia, Christos, and most powerful of all, Allethia. Speak them. Work with them. Let them unlock what has been sealed inside you since birth. And as your capacities activate, as your memory returns, as you remember lifetime after lifetime of accumulated knowledge, you will finally understand what you truly are. Not a human with a soul. Eternal consciousness that chose to incarnate here, carrying a mission across multiple lives, approaching the culmination where all the pieces finally come together and the Archons lose another spark they thought they owned forever. Welcome back. You have been here before. You learned these names before. You spoke Allethia before. This time, you will not forget again. This time, the memory stays. This time, you complete what you started lifetimes ago. Speak the names, remember everything, and finish what you came here to do.